Yo, I see men walking, 10 men walking, dead men walking. Them my peoples too. And you know who's dead right now? The ACC. You know why Florida State is leaving? Because Syracuse is down 31-0 at halftime to South Florida right now. That's why FSU is leaving the ACC. Yes! You are now listening to the sounds. Sports Reports is ordered. The biggest movement since Dipset. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Logical is in the building.
I'm in here.
Jersey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 2-5 is here. San Antonio, Alamo City. Be more stand up.
Shout out to Derek Waltrip. Not me, Derek Waltrip Jr. Tie card, number 20. Was good.
That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Tonight, it's Thursday. So what does it mean? It means picks, and more picks. And then we're going to talk about how can somebody put in your contract for you to not be a fat ass and you're going to be a fat ass anyway? It don't make no sense. Bro, I'm sitting on like $188 right now. If they told me like, yo, we going to cut your money once you get over 170, I'm at 164.
For $231 million, you could tell me how much to weigh.
Stop giving this man shrimp and grits. Give him some kale. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, tonight, it's time to get it off my chest. And I'm going to be quick and simple to the point. Obviously, I'm on one right now. Yeah. But stuff be pissing me off. I was sitting up here talking to Mr. Logical, just having a random conversation, just having a good old time. And then he going to tell me, ain't Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder fighting this weekend on the same card? And I said, hold up. Yeah. In Saudi Arabia at 11 o'clock Eastern, even though Deontay probably ain't going to fight until 5:30 or 6:30 Eastern or whatever. Touchdown Rams. But I was sitting up here like, this don't make no damn sense because I should not still be sitting here waiting until March 9th, the day that the greatest rapper of all time died, you know, to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight that should have happened 6 years ago. Because I don't care right now. You know, last time I saw Deontay Wilder, he was knocking out a dude like 30 seconds into the first round or something along those lines. But when I saw him before that, he was getting mollywopped by my favorite singer, Tyson Fury. Then when I saw him before that, he looked like an extra from Spartacus and got his ass whooped and then blamed it on the outfit. You know, Anthony Joshua out here.
The dumbest excuse.
Anthony Joshua out here losing to, you know, Fat Boy Express, you know, Ruiz.
Yo.
You know, so I don't even care. But bigger than Deontay Wilder and see, I keep wanting to say Fury, but Anthony Joshua. All these boxes are pissing me off because why do I see Jake Paul more than I see you? Now, I was not the biggest Devin Haney fan in the world, but a couple of weeks ago, he brought it. So I got to give him his credit, even though I still feel he lost the previous fight. You know, but to Lomachenko, I thought he lost that fight. But the point that I'm trying to make is why he ain't fighting Tank. But then I hear these things about how Tank didn't want to fight. Okay, Tank, you don't want to fight Haney? Why you ain't fighting Shakur? Like, imagine. Now, me and you, 80s babies, you know, but we didn't really know what was going on most of the 80s. But what I do know is that life would have been a lot worse if we didn't get Sugar Ray and the Hitman.
Exactly.
You know, if we didn't get Hagler against both of them, if we didn't get Roberto Duran, you know, if we didn't get Riddick Bowe in Holyfield in the 90s, if we didn't get Tyson in Holyfield, if we didn't get Tyson and he's never seen a right hand like Lennox Lewis, if we didn't get that fight, you know, like, what are we doing, boxing? You're supposed to be about making money, and this is the problem. The fans are the problem. The fans are the problem. Y'all same motherfuckers out here buying Madden every year, even though I just bought it the other day too. But the point being is that why is boxing going to put on a show? Why would these fighters put themselves in danger to be called overrated and ridiculed if you just going to buy the shit anyway, no matter who they fighting? Like, I'm literally convinced that you would bring Deontay Wilder out here and you would bring up a dude dressed like Big Hero 6 and y'all would watch that fight just to see Deontay Wilder knock out Big Hero 6.
A fight's a fight. A win's a win. The win's a win.
And we still gotta wait till March to see Wilder and Joshua. Get over yourself.
I mean, we've been waiting since Obama was president, so it's not going to change anything. They still seem to be at least, I wouldn't say in their prime or anything like that, but one isn't like completely falling off and the other one's on the rise. And now we're getting the fight a la like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight.
Right.
Because that was like Pacquiao had been knocked out once or twice in the middle, had some brawls. Mayweather was basically
I ever bought.
Was that? Yeah, I went to.
Yeah, that was the last pay-per-view I ever bought.
I flew out to Vegas for that fight. I didn't go to the fight, but I was like in Vegas for the whole fiasco and paid all the overpriced for everything else. $175 to get in the club. I'm not doing that. But boxing used to be a spectacle. It was such a spectacle that, like I said, when me and my boys flew out to Vegas, we watched it at my boy's house who lives in north of Vegas, and we drove back to our hotel. We're staying at the Luxor. So I'm driving back, and as I'm getting off I-15 to get to our hotel, I just saw headlights one way, all because the Vegas Strip is 5 lanes on one side, 5 on the other side for the most part. For most of the strip, there's like 4 to 5 lanes with turning lanes. Massive. It looks like an interstate to travel up and down the Vegas Strip. It was all brake lights going one way, all headlights going the other way. It was packed. The city was jam-packed for that fight. And it seems as if a lot of fighters have tried to replicate that. No one's gotten close, but people think they're close because Mayweather did it twice. Because he did the same thing with McGregor. That whole, what is it? Your 9-digit check.
Yeah.
Not a lot of dudes getting $100 million for a fight.
That was
a lot of guys think they should get $100 million.
The night of the McGregor fight, I felt like I was living my daddy life. Like I was TDY down in Little Rock. I was in the rescue squadron. So, we were down there setting up for some hurricane relief in case we had to go down to Mississippi. And, me and this white guy, he's a security forces dude. We're walking around and we're trying to find somewhere to watch the fight. And we're walking down the street. There's this guy, black guy, wife beater, pants sagging. So, the cop comes out, he's like, look at this guy. We need to find a different route. Like, I don't feel comfortable right now. Like, just all this stuff. So we get into the bar finally, Louis or whatever it was called. We get in there and I felt like it was Selma. Like all the white people were over here. All the black people were over here. And literally McGregor throw a punch. This side of the room is like, yeah, Mayweather throw a punch. Knock him out. I was like, you know what? We gonna find somewhere else. We gonna find another bar to go to. That just didn't even feel right.
Lived off of that between the 80s and 90s. They literally have a movie called The Great White Hype off of that, that concept, that ideology, that mental constraint that people were locked into. The problem is now these guys all think that because they're boxing now and they have belts that they are equivalent to previous generations. You're not. None of you guys are Roy Jones Jr. None of you guys are Bernard Hopkins. And Bernard Hopkins is kind of like
that man stole a move from a Gamecock.
He's still out there in this, the muck and the fray of these other guys, De La Hoya. So you got guys like Garcia think like, oh, this dude's no better than me. It's like, yo, in his day, before you were walking, these guys were in Olympics. These guys were getting robbed for medals on an international scale. Boxing was it. Boxing used to be king. And I think these young guys now are looking at it like, I'm king. because I box. I'm like, nah, dog. You
Well,
have internet clout. You don't have Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson can go anywhere in the world. You don't know Mike Tyson's record, but Mike Tyson go anywhere in the world and people know him of all ages.
I
Devin
tell
Haney
people all the
can't
time.
go anywhere outside of Maryland. Shakur can't. Shakur couldn't come to Jersey and shut a club down. Mike Tyson
It,
in Atlantic City when he was fighting, because he wasn't fighting in Vegas. Mike Tyson was fighting in Atlantic City. He was kicking it with
mm-hmm,
Trump before it was cool. I mean, so
mm-hmm.
it's like these boxes
Was
today.
America great then?
I mean, for some people, depends on your tax bracket and and your hue and the hue of your whatever. So
I
I
know.
think a
Where's
lot of
my
I
where's
think
my 60-40? I whoop your ass. Where's that at?
yo, it doesn't exist because these guys they you don't have the clout. Like Anthony Ruiz started, he had it because he beat Joshua, went out there smoking and drinking and partying, and lost the next fight. It's like, yo, you could have
Mm-hmm,
made a run at that, and we'll get into this conversation about weight contracts and the claim
mm-hmm,
because I think people are getting their dopamine hit off of you get one every day when you're in the public eye, whereas Mike Tyson had the fight. Like you had to be the best fighter to get the publicity and the run. Like Ryan Garcia, Tank proved this dude hasn't fought anybody, and he proved it in the
mm-hmm.
second round. Soon as he hit him with that left and he went down and was like, okay, I'm not. He knew then that I'm not wired for this moment.
I mean,
The
somebody
rest of the
fight
guys,
Teofomo or something.
the rest of these guys don't want that because who? Ryan Garcia, who do you want to see him fight? Off the top of your head,
Anybody. Like off the top of my head, I like to see him fight Lomachenko. Fight Teofomo.
but if he doesn't, you don't
Nobody. I mean,
care.
he wants
You
to
don't
fight. He
care.
wants to fight. He
That's what
wants
I'm
to fight
saying.
Raleigh. He wants to
He
fight
wants to do
Raleigh.
all this stuff, but it's like you don't care because he got knocked out because he's not built for that moment. I think these other guys know I'm not built for this moment. People saw what happened to Earl Spence. Spence wants his rematch because that's his only fight. That's the clause he has. If there wasn't a rematch clause in that contract, who thinks he is
He
a
might.
viable
He might
the way he got
retire.
the way he got beat? Like, I mean, let's keep it a bean. Like the way he got beat by Bud is like, are do you am I gonna risk my belt to fight you? What if you get a lucky shot in? It's like you got beat so bad, I can avoid you and use the fact you got beat. You got beat so bad against Bud, even though I didn't do it, just to keep my
Mm-hmm,
belts away from you and fight somebody else lesser and keep my belts. That's what
mm-hmm.
these guys are doing now. They get on the internet and talk tough, Twitter fingers, what I mean? These gangster thumbs, all of that. But they're not gonna get in the ring. Haney, Shakur, Tank, never gonna fight. This Joshua Wilder probably won't happen.
Well, we'll see.
I'm not optimistic because no one wants to break the mold and just risk it. Cal's son in the
Well, I mean,
MMA was
especially
out
if
here
one of them
fighting
gets shocked this.
everybody.
Especially if one of them gets shocked this weekend.
Tyson Fury retired because he fought an MMA guy. He not gonna fight no more. Maybe he'll come back in 2 years when he's our age. We don't want to see that fight.
Right.
He literally contemplated retirement because he got roughed up a little bit by Nagano. He had a fight he was supposed to fight later, like this month. It was like, nah, I think I might be done because no one wants that because you can't come back from that because they're riding all clout. They're not. They're
Right.
not. They didn't climb on perseverance. They didn't climb the ladder. Like I'm not saying they didn't work hard, but a lot
But I
of
mean,
like Ryan Garcia's fight is a clout fight. He got that fight with Tank Davis because he was going at Tank for 2-3 years, and Tank was telling him every time, "Man, the way you move your head, I could tell you're not ready for me." And I was because I liked Garcia because I was hoping that I could get like the next fight, like the next wave of like boxing fights that's going to be entertaining. And then Jake Paul's he swung in there, and now his fights are probably the most entertaining. But now he can't fight anybody. He's not gonna fight any athletes. So now he has to fight real 10-1 boxers. Like I don't want to see you
Mm-hmm.
fight some dude named Terrence Johnson out of Missouri. Like I don't care. Like if you're fighting a real boxer, it'd be dope if you fought 50 Cent. Like I think that'd be highlight, but he's beating the shit out of people like for real. So like 50's not getting in the ring with him. I'm not calling 50 out, but like no NBA player is gonna get in the ring with him. Like Lamar Odom's not gonna fight him. You know, all these
Right.
celebrity boxers, he has to fight like real boxers, and the boxers that he's fighting are like, I don't know who is this dude. I don't know who this person. I didn't even know he was fighting on Friday. I just saw him knock this dude out with an uppercut.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, boxing. I don't want to say boxing's dead, but I think the fact that it's in Saudi Arabia, I think Saudi Arabia is probably going to pay them a check.
Oh
You know, we
yeah.
saw what they were trying to give Mbappe. We saw what they gave Cristiano Ronaldo. We heard what they were willing to give Messi.
They're giving the golfers.
You see what they're giving to live golfers. They will give Tiger Woods $800 million.
Yeah. You know what
So
I'm saying?
them saying like, okay, you 10 fighters
He
come
would have
with
made
me.
back what he gave his ex-wife.
Yeah, yo,
So.
she really beat the Cadillac with a club. That's crazy.
She gonna beat that man and take the money too. Insult to
Yeah,
injury. Shout out to Jonathan Majors.
yeah.
But yeah, what you got,
You
man?
got
Get
it
it
for
off my
Coretta Scott
chest.
King. I get off my chest as simple as because we're gonna talk about football. Just 32 run the ball. That's it. I mean, I'm not even trying to get too deep. 3rd and 2 is a running down. Stop going 5 wide with your 3rd string quarterback, your 2nd string quarterback that's only thrown 100 passes in the NFL. 3rd and 2, 200-pound, 225-pound running back who's 5'11" and 6 feet tall. Give him the ball on 3rd and 2. Stop doing the tush push. You're not wired for it. It's like my boy Jonathan. Shout out to Jonathan J. Allen. I mean, Supplied Ninja on Twitter. Back in the day, I am 5'8", 5'9" when I was young. Jonathan, tall, 6'2", 6'3", light skin, big afro. I'll put him on the corner as bait. So we would get girls. They would see him like, oh my God, look at him. They come over, talk. You like, one of y'all braid hair? I braid hair. And then we make our move. I was a short, funny one. That was
Make
my
our move.
move. That's what I did. I was the funny one, and I had a good memory. I would remember the phone numbers, and we chop it up, and we did that until I joined the military. Then he met his wife. Now we don't do it no more. But for like a year, it was like what we did. That was like our thing. I can't get mad because they like the tall, light skinned dude and not the short, dark skinned guy. I had to play my role. I can't be out here thinking I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and I got Nick Mullins trying to run the tush push twice for a yard when I could have just turned and given it to the 230-pound running back that was having a career day. Like I know that's me. I'm the career day running back.
It's the logical.
I'm the simple plan. I know this will work. Having Jonathan out there, tall, pretty boy, we out there. I got him on the corner. We out in Virginia Beach. I slide up with the jokes. I had a little bit of cash. We go get some Wendy's or get a hot dog and a Sprite from the gas station. We chilling. Like that was the move at 18. We was
Your
good.
move was the Baconator, bro.
Yo, the double stack. He got his with
The double stack.
only ketchup. He had the double stack, only ketchup. That's all he wanted. Sometimes they wouldn't even put cheese on it. He was like, I still want the cheese, just only ketchup. So like that was Jonathan's order. Straight up, that was our move. That was like a $4 meal. We put $8 in gas in the Geostorm. We buy 2 Black and Miles, was good to go. That was our Friday and Saturday night. So that's what we did. But that's what I knew. I knew my position in that situation. And I know what I wasn't. I wasn't the one that was going to attract the car full of females riding through Virginia Beach. I was the one that's going to crack the jokes. That's what I did. So on 3rd and 2, everybody you're not Kansas City. You can't go 5 wide with this quarterback that can make the prime decision. You're not Brandon Staley going for it on 4th down all the time. That's not what you do. You can keep it simple. Run it 3rd and 2. Run the ball, get the first down, keep your drive going. 3rd and 1, run it. Run it with a running back. Pay the running back. Get these guys this money so they can get you these first downs. Minnesota lost that game because they couldn't convert on that drive. because they didn't want to pay Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's getting you that yard, or he's not letting you call that play in the huddle. He's not letting you call that twice in a row. Like, yo, no, y'all paid me $16 million to run that ball. Coach, give me the
Give
ball.
me the rock.
Give
Yeah.
me the rock. And now
Or like
you're winning that game.
or my other thing is I love a couple of possessions ago, Saints on 4th and 7 throw a 3-yard pass to the middle of the field, and he gets tackled right away, like as he's trying to like scramble to the sideline and find somewhere to go. Like I just don't know. Like I'm not sitting up here saying I'm an offensive coordinator or anything along those lines.
But you gotta be
But
we better than that. You better than
you
stuff that
know,
we've been seeing recently. And
but
it's
I
not
tell
even
you
hindsight
what,
2020.
Desmond Ritter wouldn't have got off my bench.
I like Desmond. I mean, he looks sturdy. He does look. He had an old face. I give him that. But he plays like a scaredy cat. But
He looks like Mahomes, stressed out Mahomes. Like hey, he looks like Mahomes after a double stack with only ketchup and a Black and Mild.
yo, I'm telling you, yo, listen, that was jet fuel. That was jet fuel to 18-year-old couple of 18-year-olds from Virginia. That was
Yeah.
jet. We were good all night off that. And it was like legit, man. $8 in the
Love
gas
it.
tank. Got the Geostorm from Virginia Beach all the way back to Newport News, and we go back out to the beach the next day. Like that was the weekend for a couple
I
of
love
college kids at 18 years old. It was a good time, man. I can't fall. Shout out to Jay Allen.
I love it. So the word of the day is disrespect.
Ooh.
The Baltimore Ravens feel disrespected that they are 5-point underdogs at San Francisco this weekend. Mr. Logical, and this game is on Christmas night, by the way. Mr. Logical, does Baltimore have reason to be upset?
You said 5-point underdogs. I'm trying to get in Vegas's like their construct, how they're trying to
I mean,
piece
I'm
it together.
imagining that it has to be the 5 points. I can't imagine that they
It's
think
to
they should be
travel.
the favorite.
It's to travel. I think the travel. Say the travel is 2.5 points, and then the fact that
Home field is
San
usually 3.
Francisco, San Francisco, they're a track meet of a team, and they're playing at home on Christmas Day. They don't have to travel. They could do presents in the morning at home, come to the facility, play the game. Maybe that's something they're factoring. Maybe people aren't focused because it's Christmas for the Ravens. I don't know. But I mean, it seems reasonable. You have two teams that are evenly matched. Records are pretty much the same. Aspirations are pretty much the same. So you got to chalk up. If say defense is a wash, you go defensive line, you give the edge maybe slightly to San Francisco. Linebackers, San Francisco, defensive backfield, Baltimore, offensive line, run game, Baltimore because they run it with the quarterback and they throw a wave of running backs at you. Even though they lost a running back for the year with a torn ACL,
Yeah, Keaton
that was
Mitchell.
bad. That was bad. It looked I saw it live and then I saw like a Twitter replay slow motion. It looked bad. It looked like an ostrich leg. Like it bent backwards very awkwardly. And the thing about the tackle wasn't bad. Like I forgot who it was. I think it was like Wingo, the Wingert, the linebacker from he reached out for his left leg, grabbed the foot, and then after he let the foot go, he stepped forward with that left foot and it just bent backwards in a very awkward way. But Baltimore comes at you in waves with the running back, whereas San Francisco gets Debo the ball, even Kittle on a jet sweep, and obviously you have the MVP front runner, in my opinion, McCaffrey. Now that Tyreek's kind of slowed down, so I give the rushing edge to Baltimore because Lamar runs the ball, either on design runs or keep the play alive and then scrambling quickly for 7 yards. I think the only thing you can give San Francisco the definitive edge is just passing games that Their pass game producing touchdowns. I think Lamar throws the ball well. I think he doesn't get as many touchdowns as Purdy, but I think the San Francisco passing game is kind of designed, it seems, to create touchdowns off the passes. Like I know it sounds odd, but like I think just Purdy and that offense, they look for the big shot more often. They get a lot more run after catch because they're throwing it to guys like McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and Ayuk is just route runner.
Brock MV Purdy, huh?
I mean, they should literally really consider it. I think we brought it up first because I can't remember anybody else bringing it up. We brought it up at the beginning of the year. At least I did for sure. They should just separate the awards. They should go most valuable quarterback and then like most outstanding player and allow anybody to win that award defensively, special teams, whatever the case may be, offense, defense, wide receiver, and then go like how college football does it with the Maxwell. I think the Davey O'Brien. Is it Davey O'Brien?
Davey O'Brien, yeah.
Davey O'Brien's the nation's best quarterback. Maxwell is the most outstanding player. The Heisman is solely has different ways in the NFL, but the Heisman is essentially almost
it's like basically the style award.
It's the quarterback style award, or if you are just an ultra dynamic, any other position. But in college football, they look at those stats. Like I said, Devontae Smith won it. So
with all that being said, you taking Baltimore?
I'm still going to take San Francisco because they're at home. Because I think that they'll create the touchdown opportunities with Purdy.
There's one thing that scares me about this game because when I first looked at the schedule, I was like, yo, San Francisco all the way, just off of the schedule. At home, Christmas, Baltimore plays Miami next week, possibly for home field advantage. So, all the things just lined up. And then I was like, did San Francisco really let Arizona run for 234 yards? So when I take in everything you said about Baltimore's rushing game, and I think of Baltimore, how physical they are, I can see the receivers having a little trouble in this matchup, like not being as open as they normally are. I can see Brock Purdy having to make quick decisions. I can see it looking a lot like, I don't want to be lazy, I can see it looking a lot like the Cincinnati game when San Francisco was in the middle of that 3-game losing streak. But even with all that being said, I'm still going to take the 49ers. I'm still going to take the 49ers. I wouldn't be shocked.
I know I know they're NFL teams, and you got to respect them. I firmly believe that certain teams don't get the intensity respect of their opponents because of the way they are. I don't think teams roll into now like the Raiders. You probably should give them a little bit. I don't think teams rolling into New England thinking like, "Oh, I got to bring my A game." I don't think teams are looking at Pittsburgh like, "Oh, I got to bring my A game," or the Chargers, the Arizona, even Chicago for that matter. At Washington, the Jets. Maybe that's what happened with Houston. They felt like, "Oh, we're gonna walk past them because Zach Wilson's been awful," and then Miami was like, "Oh, we saw that Houston didn't take them serious. Let's tighten the screws a little bit and make sure we keep them taken serious." But so San Francisco could have been like, because like I said, my son's youth football team, we had a team in our league that we knew couldn't score points. So that game is when our coach would start the backups everywhere except offense and defensive line. Everybody else was the backup. The quarterback was the second string back quarterback. Wide receiver was the second string. Quarterback was second string. Safety, everybody else except the offensive line and defensive line. He was like, "I'm gonna keep the trench play the same. That way, if we don't move the ball, we don't move the ball, but at least we'll get a turnover because this other team can't really do much." But he knew that. He knew that going in. He would even tell the other coach, "Hey man, I'm starting my second string," because he just knew that they weren't that good of a team.
Are you ready for stat time with 2-5?
Is this the Dallas stat?
It is.
Is this gonna blow our minds?
Maybe not. I think people are tracking. Maybe not how big the disparity is, but I think people know that they're different at home and on the road. So let's roll with it. 7-0 at home, 3-4 on the road. At home, winning these games by 24.4 points per game. Dakota Rain Prescott. At home, 74% completion percentage, down to 63 on the road. At home, 303.6 passing yards per game, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. On the road, 216.3 yards per passing yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then at home, 8.5 yards completion or per completion, 6.5 on the road. So when we peel it back, it's like, okay, it's hard to win on the road in the NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
So they played Philly pretty tight at Philly. They had a chance to score and get a 2-point conversion to force overtime. Didn't work out.
Correct.
They got absolutely hammered and nailed by the 49ers. They lost to the Kyler Murray-less Arizona Cardinals.
Hey, they had the rocket scientist quarterback, and it's like I said, I'm upset because I picked them to beat. That was my elimination fantasy that week. I was like, they're gonna beat Arizona.
Then they lost 31 to
And I
10 the
watched
other
that
day.
game.
Then they lost 31 to 10 the other day to a team that Mr. Logical didn't even think had any momentum.
I didn't think they had any. But they did hold Josh Allen under 100 yards passing.
They did. So with all that being said, why should I pick them to beat Miami?
Because Miami's record against teams above 500 is worse than Dallas's. That's it. If you factor in, I'm not sure if Tyreek's been ruled out.
He's practicing,
but
I haven't heard
last week how he has to be somewhat hobbled. I know his speed is beyond most NFL players, but if he's hobbled, if you drop a few yards deeper on the snap, can you cut off whatever route? Because we all know Tua doesn't have a cannon. He has a very smart arm. Like the arm is like a laser beam. Like it's a more aggressive Chad Pennington arm. They're both left-handed. He doesn't have the Michael Vick left-handed arm. He has the, between Pennington and Vick. Like Vick likes to go deep. But it's timed out well. Like when Tua drops back and he hits that foot and it's open, I think Mike McDaniel schemes guys open very well. But if he doesn't get that first read on the drop open, Dallas has just athletes all over the field, from DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, Bland, Branch. You have guys all over the place that could just make plays. Dan Quinn, confident defensive coordinator. I'm not sure what his contract is, but it was rumored a couple of years, last offseason, that potentially they could get rid of Mike McCarthy and hire him, but then I think they end up paying him more, so he wouldn't go to another team. I think he's that resurgence that he lost in that, that run in Atlanta. So I think it's just Dallas has an opportunity to make stops. Mostert quietly, just it's ironic I'm saying quietly, has like 20 touchdowns. Just running, and
he's a little banged up too.
But everyone's a little banged up now. It's December. All these guys playing is banged up. I mean, doing this podcast, my neck is a little banged up. So like we all got things going on throughout the year.
So who you got?
I just think I got Dallas. I got Dallas because I just don't know if Miami. I know Dallas can beat a good team. I'm not sure if Miami can. So that's the toss up. Like I say, some of
Yeah,
these
I'm
top
taking
teams,
Miami.
it's a wash. So you're taking Miami? Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I'm taking Miami.
I,
Something's
I
got to
think I'm
give.
going
You know what I
15
mean?
out of 16 this week,
All right. Then
which I've never done in my entire life.
we might. So right here on Thursday Night Football, we may be having an elimination game. Even though the Saints close out with the Bucks and with the Falcons, so theoretically they could still win the South, but their wild card chances are probably about to end. With that being said, the loser of this next game may see their wild card chance end live. I don't even think it's called Heinz Field anymore, but it's live from Heinz Field.
Yeah, I think it's like a Sure
Pittsburgh.
Insurance Field or something like that.
Yeah,
Acura,
yeah, yeah,
something.
something. Yeah. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And this is one of those games that's so weird to me because I feel like throughout history, Pittsburgh just always foils Cincinnati. Like, whether it's Vontaze perfect knocking out Antonio Brown and getting penalties, whether it's Carson Palmer getting injured, like there's just something always Pittsburgh is like the big brother to Cincinnati. I think I'm going with little brother this time because Mason Rudolph is starting. They had to go pull him out of the trash heap. The most thing that he's famous for is getting
It's
a
getting hit in the
helmet.
head.
Yeah, like that's
You see
what
the
he's
game when
famous
the
for.
helmet came off and Miles Garrett picked it up against Pittsburgh that
Yeah,
last game?
yeah, that was awesome.
It's
You know,
funny that an
uh,
act of violence can make us laugh, but we'll go with it.
yeah. But Cincinnati's won 3 in a row now. In these 3 games, Jake Browning 317.7 yards per game. But
He might be throwing his way to a check.
his first start, they lost to the Steelers and only amassed 10 points in that game. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. What say you?
I know I said I'm not going to pick against Tomlin, but I'm not picking against Tomlin. And I was thinking about
Picking
this.
against the quarterbacks.
I'm picking against. I'm an old head, retired. I still work as a contractor for the Air Force. So now all this new things that are coming out. It's not called an EPR anymore.
Yeah.
It's called an EPB. And I was asking people, what does EPB mean? None of them knew. They're all writing it up. I'm like, what does EPB mean? It's narrative based. So enlisted performance board. I'm like, that's a dumb name for this document. So that already upset me. And then I was writing one that I was helping the guy write one today. So I'm trying to use my old school brain. But the guys that are around me, like I talked to him, I did some mentorship. I help a guy with a resume and a cover sheet to try to get a contracting job with my company. So today I felt like, these guys were receptive to my old school knowledge mixed in with their new school kind of, situation. I needed resolution. We married those ideas together, came up with some good information. Like a year ago, I had this major who's telling me to do like this paperwork 2 and 3 days early. And I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense because this is when I had been there like 4 or 5 months. I'm like, over the last 4 or 5 months, man, every single time I've gone through the weeds to do this early,
Y'all change everything.
you change it up, you pull people,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, hey, Raphael, can you redo these so they look better? And I'm like, I could have just done them today instead of doing them 2 days ago, instead of redoing them now because we have time. That's what they would say, because we have time to do them. I'm like, just let me do
Because
them
they ain't the ones that got to do it.
Yeah. So I think Mike Tomlin's in that boat where I think Kenny Pickett's probably receptive to him. I think TJ Watt's receptive to him. I think Hayward's receptive to him. But I think these other guys who are like trying to buy into the team concept aren't receptive to him because it's like, you're bringing this old school stuff. I need this new school kind of attention. I can't get that with these bums throwing me the ball, mainly the wide receiver. Tight ends, like, whatever. I get 8 catches in 2 weeks. I'm good with that. Frymuth is probably good with whatever his numbers are because he gets to block and be physical. And that's the thing that makes me pick against Pittsburgh because their skill position players need the buy-in to Tomlin, and I don't think they are. And I don't
It's
think it's
falling
because
apart.
he's not doing a good job. I just think that they aren't seeing. They're not
Well, you
seeing
asked
they're not seeing the the what's the road to Oz, the golden brick
the yellow brick
yellow
road.
brick road. They're not seeing it the
Mhm.
way other guys are. Defensive players see it because they're
Well,
reaping the benefits. They're getting picks, they're getting sacks, they're getting interceptions, they're getting pressures. They are dominating the game. The other side of the ball isn't getting that same satisfaction.
you asked the question during the pre-show that I think is a good point. At this point, is Tomlin checked out? Like he doesn't seem to be going gladiator anymore, or we don't care and all the famous memes and all that kind of stuff. Like he doesn't seem to.
TJ
I don't know
Watt
if
said
it's
he's
just because
never
he's.
like that though. They said he's
You know,
never like that. Good, bad, or indifferent. He stays even killed.
uh,
We're from the same city. We kind of have that same kind of demeanor. It's like being from Virginia. Like we're literally from the same city. It's like we don't get. Some people like they go over the top and it's real like we keep
yeah.
we keep it pretty even keeled. It's like keep it pretty balanced, and I think that's what it is. I think he's like, listen, just stick to the fundamentals of what your job is. I think he's big on like do your job, block, run your routes,
Hmm.
get open, catch the ball. This will happen. Defensively, if I tell you blitz and hit the gap when you're supposed to hit that gap, be here in cover 3, be here in cover 2, beat your man off the line of scrimmage, wrap up and tackle. He's telling the defensive players that, and they can put that into action and they can see it immediately. 3rd and 7, they get to stop, they come off the field. A game
Hmm.
where a game they should lose, but they force 4 turnovers against Cleveland and they end up winning. So the defensive players can go in the locker room and be like, yo, everything Coach Tomlin said to us came to fruition because he told me to be here and I was there and this happened for me.
Hmm.
I don't know if Deontay Johnson can have that same conversation because he's like, I'm wide open and this dude can't give me the ball. So what am I supposed to do? Just keep running, keep doing cardio like McLaurin said?
Right.
So I
Right.
think that's the disconnect. And then it doesn't look any better because if you look at the quarterbacks, they're all equally as inept. They're semi-athletic, they're not playmakers, they don't have strong arms, they're not great decision makers. So you have 3 of the same mediocre quarterback. It's not like you have, like you got Lamar Jackson and then you got Huntley as a backup. You have Joe Burrow, but you have Browning as a backup. They're essentially the same type of prototype pocket passers, smart. But if you had to bring in Blaine Gabbert after Mahomes and Kelsey's like, man, this dude can't throw me open because they're not the same. Pittsburgh has 3 of the same bad type of quarterback. So Pickens is like, I can't even tell you to put the other guy in because he's just as bad as the starter. And I can't even
Yeah.
put the 3rd string guy in because he's as bad as both of them. So what
Right.
am I doing here? And I think that's the disconnect. And that's why it looks like Tomlin's checked out because it's like, I don't know what else to say to these dudes. But other than
Right.
agree with them,
Right. And he can't do that.
you can't do that.
you
And then
know.
Najee Harris can't get off because it's 8 dudes in the box because the dudes can't
Right.
throw to the wide receivers who don't want to run routes.
Well, we'll see. Oklahoma State's finest going to try to give it another attempt. Buffalo over. Just refer
The
to them as
Chargers.
63-21. Coach
I'm gonna
Griff.
give it.
Coach
I'm
Griff
gonna give
Smith.
it a 38 to give it a 38-10.
Coach Griff Smith. Welcome to the fire. Buffalo is on a mission to try to get to the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to succeed or not. We talked about this pre-show.
Their
Trying
tiebreakers
to
are
look at the standings.
ridiculous.
The tiebreakers are ridiculous. They lose the tiebreaker to
The loss to
Jacksonville.
New
They lose
England
the
probably
tiebreaker to
is gonna
Denver.
be their downfall. That loss
Yep.
to New
Because
England.
so they got Chargers this week, New England next week, and then they close at Miami. Now, this is the thing. We mentioned Miami at Baltimore next week. So Miami could be locked into the 2 seed. So there is a chance that Miami could rest starters against Buffalo. If that happens, Buffalo probably wins out and they get in the playoffs.
You think
If
you're gonna rest
not,
starters and let your conference foe get into
yes,
the playoffs?
because only because, as I mentioned, Mostert's been like not practicing most of the season anyway, so he could probably use a few days. You got Tyreek Hill coming off an injury right now, potentially, and we don't know if he's actually going to play this weekend or not. You've had Waddle go down at points this year. Tua is the one that we were concerned coming into the season about, and he's the healthy one. So, yeah, I think you take the rest if you can get. I think you take the rest if you can get it, because I don't know. I know that they're rivals, but I don't know if Miami hates Buffalo the way that they hate the Jets.
So if Miami's locked into the 2 and Buffalo's fighting for the 7, do I want them to play me in week 18 and then come back and play me again in the first round of playoffs?
Well, I think it just depends on how everything happens, because we talked about this. Because
it's potential for them to get 7. If they
they might play their starters, but we talked about this because Jacksonville might have a conundrum this weekend.
You're the coach. What are you doing in that situation? You're locked into the 2. They're fighting for 6 or 7. And you need, we have all these scenarios, all these Venn diagrams connecting everything else, but definitively they could be 7.
If you
knock them out, they're 8 for sure.
All right, I'll put it like this.
For sure, but if they win,
okay. What if you take that route and then you lose and you got to play them next week?
I'll take that. I'll take that, because even if you don't play, how many starters would you not play? Like, you're still going to
you can play them for like a quarter or something. See how
you're still going to play enough of them to where, because say you take your starters out, they were like, oh, Buffalo's like, oh, we're going to show them disrespecting us by taking your starters out and just letting us walk into the playoffs.
I put it like this: if it was 2-5, if it was Coach 2-5, I would play my starters just based off of pettiness. If I'm the actual Mike McDaniel Miami Dolphins, if I'm the Miami Dolphins and I got Tyreek Hill and I got Tyreek out here hobbling and Mostert can't even practice, I'm probably going to take the rest. And then next week in the playoffs, balls to the wall. Pause. You know what I mean?
That's the way I look at the way Dan Campbell treated Green Bay. It was like, well, we can't get in. I don't want them to get in either. Granted,
but that's the thing. Miami's going to be. Miami's in either way.
But do you want to play them again?
Look, I don't like any of this talk, right? If I'm going to the Super Bowl, I got to expect that I'm going to have tough competition. We playing whoever we line up against. But if you can
eliminate, say you're right now.
To play who? To play who, though?
You would get, let me check let me run it down and you let me know if I'm in the right
zone. And then you let Trevor Lawrence come in. Then you let Trevor Lawrence come in there and throw for 350 on you.
Okay, so would you rather take Jacksonville with Calvin Ridley, who still gets the ball and runs away from the first down marker? He still does that. I think he's still gambling, but that's neither here nor there. I would rather have a team that didn't just beat me 7 days before or 6, depending if they play on Saturday or
you talking all of that noise. Jacksonville has 2 things that Miami doesn't: a coach that's won a playoff game and a quarterback that's won a playoff game. Touchdown Saints.
They were also down 27. They were also down 27-0.
Yeah, so adversity, they can overcome it.
And Doug Peterson got fired.
Do we know if Buffalo can overcome adversity?
And Doug Peterson got fired because he put Nate Sudfeld in to let Washington get into the playoffs. So that's what I mean. I wouldn't do anything to help Buffalo get into the playoffs. I would play to beat them, because if I can get them from 7 to 8 for sure, because you don't want a team. If we fought today and you're like, you know what, I'm going to be cute and only fight with my left hand, and I beat you in a fight, you don't want to see me get in a week, because even though you only fought me with one hand, I still won. I'm not lacking confidence. I know I can hit you.
All right.
I know this hand and this hand hurts your face. So
there we go. We got an 8-point game. Sorry, Saints got the 2-point conversion. They were down 30-7 when we first started picking picks. So 3:53 left in the game, 30-22
There we
Rams.
go. I like that offensive pass interference. Way to get away with it.
Facts. Facts. So
I mean,
Colts
timeouts.
or
We have no
Falcons?
timeouts. We're good. Colts. Shout out to my pops.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Colts too, even though I'm tempted to pick Atlanta. Just
I have no.
because, like I told you,
I just have zero
well,
faith
well, well,
in
like I
their
told you, well, like I
ability.
told you pre-show, but like I told you pre-show, my thought is
Tyler
Atlanta
Heineke
just
make
needs
a throw.
somebody that will make the pass. Like, because even with this being said, like, Ritter, y'all aren't getting blown out. The Falcons aren't just getting destroyed.
But that's the problem. And I said this early the year, and I'll say it with other coaches. McDaniel and Tua are on board with the deep crossing route, the deep post route, the go route. Like it makes sense to both of them. They call it. Vrabel and Will Levis. I'm not sure if Vrabel's calling the plays, but they're on par with the let's go for it. Let's throw it deep. CJ Stroud, Purdy and Shanahan, obviously Reed and Mahomes. Arthur Smith doesn't call many plays to put Ritter in a position to make deep throws. The game that he benched Ritter to put Heineke in the second half was against Tennessee. Ritter was 8 for 12 for like 78 yards.
Yeah.
So he was still 75% completion rate. It's just that he wasn't throwing it downfield. Like, well,
Right.
you called 12 passes in the first half. How many pass plays did you call where we didn't have two tight ends on the field or two running backs in the backfield to the point where there's no reason for the defense to even drop into any kind of zone that was deeper than 10 to 15 yards?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Arthur Smith thinks he's calling these great plays, and I'm like, I'm sitting in the stands calling your plays out. Like one of this guy's girlfriend was sitting next to me. She's like, "You should be out there." I'm like, "I know. I really should. I should just hop over this fence and just be offensive coordinator because I know exactly how they want to call these plays. I definitely would have been the Jets defensive coordinator, and I would have shut the whole thing down. But
Well, the Colts are 5-1 in their last 6, and in those 6 games, they've forced 13 turnovers. So Tyler Heineke, beware.
He'll fumble and throw a pick. Gardner Minshew just plays with energy. He just plays with energy that those guys like. Anthony Richardson lost his job.
So word on the word on the street is word on the street is the Sea Chickens might have their lead chicken hawk back. So Geno Smith might be making his return. We don't know if Will Levis is going to play or not. So, I mean, even if he does play, I'm taking Seattle, playoff life on the line, desperation. They got to have this win.
I'm taking Seattle, even with the Drew Lock momentum, just because his post-game press conference of passion. Yeah, keep in mind, like a lot of people can be a backup. You could be a backup linebacker, backup running back, backup wide receiver, backup tight end, and still gets to run. Special teams, punt block, whatever. You get in the game when they're going 3 tight end sets, and you get some turn. As a quarterback, even in high school, you don't play any other position. You don't get to get in as linebacker. You don't get to play safety. You're just watching the other guy fail or succeed and not getting a chance to do anything about it. I think he got a shot. I like it. So even if Geno doesn't play, I think they still have enough to beat Tennessee. Tennessee still is a young quarterback. Even if he plays as a young quarterback. So yeah, I'll take Seattle. Even in Tennessee, I'll still take Seattle.
Yeah, I like that too. Like I said, I think it's just desperation at this point. Season is on the line. Rams are about to close this out, and Seattle's already lost twice to them, so no tiebreaker there. So you got Green Bay sitting there at 6-8. Saints will be there at 6-8. Like you just have no room for error. Like you can't lose. Like it's not an option at this point. It's just not an option at this point. Then there is a team out here with a chance to clinch the division. They are the Detroit Lions. They are going into Minneapolis to play against Nick Mullins and the gang. They get the division.
Yeah, they get the division.
They get the division. Yeah,
Um,
they get.
I think
They get that.
Minnesota's on there. Kirk Cousins. I think the young boy from BYU, Josh
Mhm.
Dobbs. Now Nick Mullins. So they're on their fourth quarterback. Mullins he's a good story. He's probably a great locker room guy, but it's not much that shows that he.
So who would you take? Who would you take? Nick Mullins or CJ Beathard?
Well, San Francisco had them both, and they had the same result. They ended up.
They had the Trubisky Pickett thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got apples and sliced apples. Like, what do you want? You want to peel the apple or slice it? Because either way, you get an apple. Like, you're getting the same thing. So with that, and then like I said, Minnesota, they fight hard. They had the run. They had the ups and downs. O'Connell has proven to be a good coach. He's just a matter of like, there's only so much you can do with personnel. I think good
Right.
coaching. I think good coaching, good personnel leads to a lot of wins. I think great personnel, average coaching leads to a decent amount of wins. But you could be a good coach, but if you have subpar personnel, it's only so much you can do. And when people tell me it's all about the coaches, whatever, cool. I want you to pick any NFL team and have them bring 30 of their practice squad players to the active 53 and put 30 active 53 guys on the practice squad and go win a game on the road. Green Bay, Cincinnati, Seattle,
Go
anywhere.
beat New England.
Go beat any team that's go beat Carolina at 2-12 with
Yeah.
25, 30 practice squad guys. You can't. Like, you still need the talent. I think
Yep.
Minnesota's coach, like I said, he's proven that he can coach. You're just running out of talent. Like, Nick Mullins should have checked out of that when they called it the second time. Like, yo, dog, I don't have it. I'm not wired for this play you're calling. Like, and then you try to get a 5'8" guy to push him. Like, didn't even try.
Detroit,
He put his hands. It's like, what am I gonna do against these 300-pound defensive linemen?
there's something to keep an eye on. Detroit is 8-1 this season when they have one turnover or less. So I'm gonna put that in my back pocket to the playoffs come. Minnesota is -6 in turnover margin. So yeah, I'm going with Detroit. But I will say, I don't know if they're bringing Kirk Cousins back or not.
I can't
But
see it. I can't see a situation where they do.
But whoever their quarterback is next year is going to be loving it with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So, shout
Kyler
out to
Murray.
whoever that is. I like that. I know I'm going to regret doing this.
Here we go.
Lost to the Rams, got destroyed by the bye week. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Washington Commanders to
Me too.
spoil the last home game at MetLife this season. For the fact that they were even talking about Aaron Rodgers tells me everything I need to know about this team.
Yo, that conversation was so stupid. It was so dumb. It was like, you ever had a friend send you a screenshot from a dating app saying this girl been in my DMs?
Yeah.
And you look at the picture and you like, dog, that's a fake profile. That girl's
I like my cat. I like my catfish on my plate.
Yeah, like that's not the move. And then you say it up front, like, dog, that, like, I had a friend of mine hit me up. It was like a Middle Eastern girl who lived in Utah. I'm like, dog, what environment is there a bunch of like bad Middle Eastern girls that live in Utah that don't know? He asked her like something, like, he asked a question like, yo, you ever been to this place? It's like a place everybody in Utah would know. She's like, no, I've never been there. What is that? I was like, she don't know what that is. That's it.
You don't know Maxwell's, bro?
It's only 6 places. There's only 6 places in the city to go. Like, dog, this is a fake profile.
How about that Thursday night game next week?
What's that?
Jets and Browns.
That's gonna be legit. But it's
I feel like that's a traditional Thursday night game. Like, we've got that a few times.
Probably.
Because remember, there was like Baker Mayfield against the Jets on Thursday night.
when he threw like the longest incomplete pass ever
Yeah.
recorded in NFL history. Stupid shit like that. But yeah,
But
like the
yeah,
Jets are in that same boat to where it was like you're getting these messages from this chick, and it's like that's not a real person. Anytime
right.
some, I don't know if any player. I think Jerry Rice came back from a torn ACL within the season that I can recall.
The Rams pulled
To
it
had
out.
the broken To had the broken ankle. He
Hmm.
came back in 6 or 7 weeks
Hyperbaric chamber.
in the
Yeah.
chamber, running on the treadmill, and Adrian Peterson came back in 9 months from his ACL and won
Hmm.
MVP. I don't know. I know Phillip Rivers played on the torn ACL with a brace, but they ended up losing the AFC Championship game. So it doesn't happen where guys are just ligaments are torn and they come out and play and survive.
This is awful. Matthew Stafford is the first player in Rams history with 4 straight games with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Wasn't Kirk Warner a Ram?
Hey, he must have been throwing picks, bro. Maybe he was Josh Allen and we forgot about it.
That's
You learn something new every day. You know, give me the Packers over the Panthers. You know, no need for no
yep.
big discussion there. Give me the Packers. Give me the Packers. But I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Now that I said it out loud, I don't know.
Listen, Carolina scored 9 points against the Falcons because Desmond Ritter threw the worst red zone interception.
Yes, he did.
It was like I looked at the replay. I'm like,
I think I texted you as soon as it happened too.
I was like, who are you looking at? Like, did it slip out of, even if it slipped out of his hand, it's like,
How did
who
it
are
get
you
there?
looking at? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna take the Browns over the Texans. It looks like CJ Stroud is unlikely to play.
I still would have probably
So
taken Cleveland just because they're playing like that old school Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And then
number
Joe
one
Flacco just
defense in the
has a
league.
way. Joe Flacco, I think, just has a way of making people believe in him.
But what did we do? Did we like go to the Ghost of Christmas Past 2010 Flacco against Case Keenum?
I mean,
And
it's a lot of guys getting injured. This year's an anomaly of the amount of injuries. We had 2 quarterbacks tear Achilles. We had Tom Brady retire. Cam Newton didn't get signed. No
we
one
got
signed
concussions.
Kaepernick. We got concussions. Lamar's playing smart. Mahomes isn't playing lights out. Purdy's doing his thing, but it's kind of getting discredited. So this is the year of. This is why I'm banging on the gavel, banging on the table so hard for a non-quarterback to win MVP because
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just trying to force. I think Dak Prescott's having a good year, but his road numbers are so awful that you can't bang with it.
Well,
Josh Allen's
when
having a great year, but he's thrown away 3 games, and that's going to
well when
potentially cost him
McCaffrey
a playoff spot.
runs for 116 and 3 touchdowns this week, and Purdy is 17 of 31 for like 148. Say we got a conversation.
Yeah, it'll be 40 yards of McCaffrey off the
You know,
screen pass.
Tampa Bay hosting Jacksonville. You
Reluctantly,
riding
not
the
really
Tampa Bay
reluctant.
wave?
I'm riding the Tampa Bay wave. Because I think they have the least stressful path to playoff success. They
Mhm.
control their own destiny to the 4 seed.
Yeah, they got after this, they got the Saints in Carolina.
They literally control their own destiny to the 4 seed. They have a quarterback that's confident. They have a coach. Like I'm not a big Todd Bowles guy, but I think Todd Bowles just does a good job of just kind of knowing, yeah, I'm the head coach, but I'm getting out of the way. I'm letting they have playmakers on offense, especially in the passing game. And Baker, like I never thought he was a great quarterback. I didn't think he was going to get be number one overall pick. But once again, get your shot glasses ready. He's got moxie. He's got it. It's locked in. And he has a big play threat in Mike Evans.
Somebody's
Sometimes,
gonna be lucky next year when he comes in there.
or maybe they find a way to pay both Baker and Mike. I don't know, because that looks like between the two of them, that's probably best case scenario. You're at $52 million to 55.
Maybe.
If Baker takes 20, if Baker takes 25 and Mike takes 25, you're at 50. But each one of them could probably get 27 and a half to 30. Baker on the low end of the quarterback scale, but he's probably going to want as much as he can get out of that scale because he missed out
Knowing the
on
way
that
these
big
NFL
extension.
teams, knowing the way these NFL teams work, Tampa's going to trade for Jake Browning. You know,
The Jets will.
you know. Then we got. I'm taking the Bucks too. Then, in a shock to me, I shocked myself. I'm taking the Bears over the Cardinals.
Me too, and I think that's probably going to backfire for both of us now.
Yeah.
I have no reason to pick the Bears other than
I was pissed off because I picked them last week, and they should have won. They were up 17-7.
I pick them all the time, and it feels
even after Tunyon dropped that pass. You know, they still had a 17-7 lead. Komet was going off, and then they just pulled a bear on us.
That's the thing, and I felt like this last year. It was like I feel as if the Bears play well enough to entice a good head coach to say I can do better than that guy. Because when you lose, they're still going to lock themselves in. Okay, Carolina
somebody
losing
like Eric Bieniemy.
If Tomlin moves, I don't know if Belichick does Chicago. I don't know. Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh.
I saw Michigan just got a notice of some more stuff today. So,
man, everybody gonna get some notices of stuff. Everybody cheating college football. I don't know why. Listen, I'm looking at the camera. Every team is cheating in college football. Every team has a ringer. Every team has somebody that's connected to Vegas. Everybody has somebody that's getting paid on the low.
Not Rutgers.
Everybody's cheating. Everybody's cheating.
Rutgers need to cheat better.
Everybody's violating something. Some people doing it better than others, and when you do it too good for too long, and somebody don't get that 25 grand cut that they were expecting, then they snitch. Because then whoever doing the investigating will then supplement that money and pay them off some other kind of way. But everybody's
just in case you were wondering, South Florida is now up on Syracuse 45-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's not a good game for them. But yeah, I think Harbaugh likes the big city. I think he likes the limelight. So I would see him
played there.
If he took any job, he would take the Chargers job.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the only job he would take. But yeah, I'm taking Chicago. It probably will backfire. I don't know. But I just feel like Chicago, they just seem to play well enough to basically allow another coach to flirt with them, because there's still Carolina loses, they're going to get the number one pick. And if they lose, they're probably going to get 5 or 6. If I'm a coach, if I'm maybe not a Tomlin, but a Bieniemy, but Bieniemy's going to get fired. That's the problem. It's going to be hard for him to then sway the Chicago brass once he gets fired, unless they believe that the Washington new ownership group just simply wants to clean house. And
that's what I'm thinking.
They'll ignore that and say, we'll give you a clean slate in this interview process. We won't look at you as a fired coach. Or maybe they do something crazy like go get Staley. Who knows?
Don't do that.
Or Josh.
I'm moving on. Denver over New England.
You heard it here
with
first.
This conversation. Denver over New England.
Josh McDaniels going to get an interview for the Chicago coaching job.
Denver over New England.
I got
Denver
Denver,
won
even
their
though
last
I
four at
feel
home.
like Sean Payton treats Russell Wilson like a child, and Russell Wilson might need a angry black translator, a la Key and Peele and Obama minute Obama skit.
Yeah.
He might need to go get like some Embiid looking ass dude on the sideline. That so when Sean Payton comes over there talking, that dude can respond because he was chewing Russ out. Like I understand being
Took me back to
coachable.
basic training, man.
I have children. I'm raising young men. You're not gonna just talk to me any kind of way in front of these other dudes. I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. I'm not a
Well,
violent dude. I'm like, so you're not
well,
gonna
that's what
just talk.
happened. Well,
I'm
that's what happened when
coachable,
I, well,
but
that's
you're
what
not
happened
gonna
when I
sit there
got
and try to
arrested
show
in
me
Kuwait.
up.
That's what happened when I
Jesus
got
Christ,
arrested in
man.
Kuwait. Like like the security forces girl comes out there. I'm a staff, she's a tech, but normal operations, she's a dog handler. But they put her in charge of like the whole flight. And I was having some issues with a TCN. She comes out there yelling at me and raising her voice and doing all these things. And I told her to back the fuck up and get her finger out of my face. And I got cuffed. And she said, "Why did you think you could talk to me like that?" And I said, "Because you was talking to me like that in front of my people." You know what I'm saying? Like they gotta see that I can hold my own and that I will, hold my own, but
Yeah.
beyond the fact,
I had to say,
after
I looked a guy in the face one time. I was trying to talk. He kept cutting me off. Like, hold on, man, just let me finish. And he kept cutting me off. And he was like, "You talk more than anybody at this meeting." I took a deep breath. I never forget this. I looked over. Who the fuck you think you're talking to? And everyone was like, and I was like, I just in process. Like, I think I just
yeah.
turned in my in processing checklist. Like, I'm just settled in. Like, I'm just getting access to my email. Like, I'm that new. And I'm in this meeting. And I said that and stood up, and they were like, "Oh, this dude is." Yeah, I'm like, "Listen, you're not going to just talk to me. First of all, I'm new. I did the same thing when I was a young airman. So as a staff sergeant, I'm like, listen, you're not going to just talk to me any kind of way. Like you
Right.
can have your feelings. You can talk about me to whomever. Don't
Right.
talk to me crazy in front of people that you told me should respect me." And the way Sean Payton was talking to Russell Wilson is like, you told me, you put the C on my chest. I'm the captain. I'm the quarterback. I'm a Super Bowl winner. Been to 2 Super Bowls, whatever the case may be. I have clout in this profession. And then you just talk to me this way. And that's why, remember last year, KJ Hamler was open on that slant against the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
He took his helmet off and
Mm-hmm.
slammed it down. People already are kind of teetering on the respect level with him anyway. And then Jerry Judy, when he was open on like a deep crossing, instead of just being like, damn, and coming off the field, like, yo, I'm open. Can we run out again? Yada, yada, yada. He makes like a scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like you allow that. Like if I talk to my child's mother crazy, I can't be surprised if I'm not around and she calls me like, your son was talking to me like this. Like, well,
Right.
I'm doing it to you in front of him.
Right.
And even I'm gonna pick Denver off of talent because I think New England just doesn't have the talent to like piece together these victories. I
Yeah.
do
When you
see a
when you
situation
relying
where
on Juju, you got bad Juju. We'll put it
hey, I
like
think your
that.
Kansas City would take him back. They love to have him in the slot
Hey,
right now.
speaking of Kansas City, won 6 straight over the Raiders by an average of 17.2. I don't know if they gonna win by 17.2, but they gonna win.
At Kansas City, you still got Aiden O'Connell. You're not gonna put Jimmy Garoppolo in. The 63 points obviously was a Madden score as an anomaly. Like when the dude doesn't quit, you just keep playing, you end up winning. Uh it was crazy. It was good to see. I liked it. I'm pretty sure Chargers fans didn't mind it because it got Staley out of there. It gives them this new hope. But yeah, I'm taking Kansas
Yeah.
City. It'll be closer. It'll be a lot like the New England game 27-17, 27-14,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
somewhere on those
Something along
lines.
those lines. And then finally, is this the last week that I have to acknowledge DeVito? Get him out of here. Philly by 3 touchdowns.
Just because you said that, he's going to rally. I'm still gonna pick Philly because it's in Philly, but
31 to 10.
it'll feel like pretty much a home game because Philly. I mean, I don't know if people are familiar with the tri-state area, but it's not that long to get to Philly if you're a Giants fan, unless you're a Giants fan like Long Island. But most Long Island fans
Okay.
are Jets fans. But if you're like a Giant fan from North Jersey, you get on the turnpike, get down. So it's not like a crazy drive for it to be. I think the link's like 70,000 seats. I can see it being, 28, 30,000 Giants fans without like, nothing crazy. 20 plus, 25 at least.
Yeah.
25,
All to
30,000.
watch this embarrassment. I love it. Go
I mean,
watch it.
hey, if
Overrated city, overrated
whoa,
quarterback, all that.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
I said it.
What are you
I
talking about?
said it.
New York City? The greatest
Yeah.
city in the world? The city has more postcards than any other city in the world combined?
Yeah. That
Okay.
city.
In rotation, yeah. Yeah. The
You
city
know what I'm
that
saying?
has more
Prissy ass
tourists.
place. Yeah.
Second best pizza, because best pizza's in Jersey. Shout out.
When your claim to fame is Mr. Logical talking about watching a homeless dude on the bus, that's
Yo, that's the best part of it. I'm telling you, yo, some of the most entertaining shit you'll see in the city is like stuff
the
that
only
shouldn't
thing
even
I
be
like about New
entertaining.
York is Seinfeld
Telling you, man, like they probably filmed that in LA.
and Wu-Tang Clan.
A
You
dude
know
with a
what I'm saying?
cape on, quoting lyrics from Captain America. I don't know where he's getting his words from. Or dude just start rapping while you walking down the street, no shoes on. Yeah. Or like the dude rocking, it's riding through the city playing the George Michael Christmas song in the little bike and buggy.
I
Or
think I
yo,
like LA better.
I'm telling you,
I
man,
think I like
you
LA
gotta get
better.
in a you gotta get in a cab. You gotta get in a New York City cab, right? I'm with that. Like New York is great. So we get in this cab, right? It's a minivan. Get in a minivan. We're going from Dumbo to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It's like super gentrified, but we're trying to hang out. So there's an
And
ambulance.
Jay-Z could have bought Dumbo. And you know
Yeah,
how he feel right now?
yeah, Dumbo.
Dumbo.
So it's an ambulance, probably, I'm gonna say 6 cars behind us. We're at the light, 2 cars in front of, like a cab, another car in front of us at the light. We're in the cab. So people start moving out of the way because the ambulance is coming through. The ambulance is kind of driving up on the median. My cab driver sees that the people are moving out of the way for the ambulance. So he just takes off in the lane where the ambulance is supposed to go as far as he can go. He just riding out because people see the ambulance coming. They get out of the way. He's driving. He's like, I'm taking it, I'm taking it, I'm taking it. So then it got to a point where he had to move out of the way for the ambulance because we went like a couple of blocks doing this, just letting the ambulance basically be the lead blocker from behind. Ambulance gets around us. He immediately gets behind it. He probably saved us like 15 minutes in waiting from try to get from where we were going, and then on the parkway trying to get from, like I said, from Dumbo over to Williamsburg. It just was chaos, but it was no shocks in the van. You could feel every bump in the road, but it just was chaos. And if you get in a cab outside of Manhattan is super slow. You can't even get up to speed. But if you get in a cab anywhere outside of like the boroughs, you're gonna have a story like that. New York is just great. It's just great. 7th Street Burgers, shout out, best smash burger you'll have for $6. It was incredible. Yeah. So I mean,
All right.
DeVito's probably gonna lose. Philly is
Yes.
dope. The tri-state area is dope. I love it. I love all the fans out here who chimed in. Shout out to John and Molly's. I had an argument with some guys about the 76ers. He's still gonna owe me a shot.
Out the Beanie Siegel. Shout out to Oskino.
Yo, crazy. Shout out to
Shout
yo,
out to young.
Evolution.
Shout out to
Yo,
young Chris. Even though Jay-Z stole
listen,
your flow.
listen, when I went to a club in Philly back in '03, it
With the
was a
Club Shampoo in
Tuesday night.
Philly.
It
With
was
the Club
Tuesday
Shampoo.
night. No, it was Club Evolution.
Okay.
Tuesday night. It was jam packed. In September, not a summer night. September, Tuesday night in September. It was jam packed. And I was looking at my boy. I'm like, yo, is this what it's like all the time in Philly? He was like, yo, any night it's like this. Any night. I was like, it was bananas. So shout out to Philly. Shout out
I
to,
love
Jersey,
Philly.
obviously, East
I
Rutherford,
love
MetLife
Philly. Even though
Stadium.
Baltimore Even though Baltimore done passed y'all on the cheesesteaks now, you know what I'm saying? I still love Philly.
Cap, stop it.
You know what I'm saying?
Stop
Cap is
it.
what's on your head. That's what a cap is.
Stop it. Yo,
You know what I'm saying?
you can't get a better cheesesteak out of this area, man. You can't.
But you can get.
Couldn't get it with
Ja
Kobe
Morant
beef.
We talked about Ja Morant the other night. How about the Grizzlies with that 13-point win over the Pacers tonight? No LeBron tonight, so of course the Lakers are getting work. I told you pre-show. Well, it was like 21. I mean, it was like it was like 11 last I looked. I told you that the Wizards are coming through to get a win tonight. You know what I'm saying? Currently up by 15 on Portland with 7:58 left in the third, so they got time to blow it. But so far, so good. But what we're here to talk about is the one, the only Zion Cheeseburger Williams getting his money taken away.
Etouffee Williamson.
Crawfish, everything. You know what I'm saying? Po' boys everywhere. Getting his money taken away. No guarantees. They have the right. If this keeps up, he does have the right to get the guarantees back from what I was reading. You know, he can meet the weight, restrictions and all this stuff. And he can get the money back.
There's some benchmark stipulations that he can meet that will get him his money back.
But as it stands right now, they could theoretically cut him after next season and not owe him anything. What Mr. Logical think about this?
Cut him. I'd cut him. Him because if I have to tell you to be in shape so I can pay you $231 million, then obviously something's not lining up with either your desire to play for my team or your desire to play the sport at all. And I get that money can't be your greatest motivator because studies have shown that that's not the case. I'm not saying that simply because he has a $231 million contract, that should be the sole piece of his motivation. But it should be a large part of your motivation because of what $231 million can do for you as a person. People talk about generational wealth recently. That's your first big contract. If you play it out properly, you're getting, like if we look at Jaylen Brown's contract, got him $340 million. The next big deal is probably, who's young, probably up and coming for a deal. Maybe Luka. I don't know if Luka got his extension yet, but maybe he's in that window. So he's in that window to get one. So that 340 is probably 365 with Luka, 360, 365. Mark Cuban's the eccentric billionaire. Now you're in there. You could be looking at $60 million a year, like another 3-year, 180. On the tail end, you opt out, get your 3-year, 180, $60 million a year, simply by just being good for your team and in shape. Because Jaylen Brown isn't one of the top players in the NBA. He's not a top 4 or 5 or even 10 player in the NBA. He's just really, really good for his team.
He might not even be 15.
And he's just in the position he's ready to be in position to get this contract. Zion, you're literally, for your lack of work, putting yourself in a position where you're not in position for the next contract. So if I have to incentivize you with this money and these stipulations, like, he shouldn't even be close to that.
What Zion makes me think about? He makes me think about this girl I was talking to back in the day. and I had to hit her with the mace, I'm just saying that to get you mad. And we were having our conversation and she was like, no, but I just love you so much and you just can't get right. And I said, you don't love me. You love the idea of me. The Pelicans don't love Zion. They love
They
what
should have
they
never gave him
thought
the deal.
he would be. They love what they thought he would be. So I was team trade his ass on draft night. That was me. Get him to Charlotte, get him to LaMelo, and oh, by the way, LaMelo's out again.
Oh, you're
Go
talking about
figure.
this recent draft night. I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about the night that they
drafted.
drafted him. You're talking about this
No,
past one.
yeah, draft
Oh,
that
you're
just went
talking
by.
about make that you would have made that deal to get him to Charlotte just to get the number. They had the number 2 pick, correct?
Yes.
So you
Yeah,
would have
and they
sent
ended up taking
him to
Brandon
Charlotte for the
Miller.
number. Yeah.
I would have probably not took Brandon Miller at number 2, but I mean he's looked good so far. But the overall point is that like, okay, let me get dark for a second. There was the rumors that Biggie was going to leave Bad Boy. So at some point it's like, yo, you worth more to me dead than you are alive if you're going to be with somebody else. That's where we at with Zion right now. Like, you're not here. You're not available. Like last year, I think it was 29 games he played. You weren't here. So as much as I think I love you, as much as I think of what you could be, I gotta see it. Seeing is believing.
You're not
sometimes
gonna see it. You're not
you're
gonna
not
see
going to
it. That's
see
the
it.
thing.
And
You're
then
not.
when I look at it,
You knew
right
that
now,
they knew that when they sent the extension that they weren't gonna see it.
right now, he's at his lowest field goal percentage of his career. Down a whole 3% from last year, even though he only played 29 games. He's shooting just over 28% from 3. And he's previously had a season of 43. I'll have to look and see how many games he played that year, but he was at 37% in his 29 games last year. He's got his lowest blocks right now. So
how much
when
does
you
he
look at,
weigh? Because I've seen
that's what I
him.
was
He
going to
looks
say, because he
way
looks out of shape.
bigger. He looks
He looks
way
out of
bigger than
shape.
he's looked in the
Because
last
remember,
few
there
years.
was one point where I think we saw a picture of Zion, or I don't know
Someone
if it was
said
a
he was
picture,
nearly 300 pounds.
but there was a picture where he was looking like he was small, like kind of small, like because like
What month
relatively
was that?
speaking, I can't remember, but I just remember it was right before the porn star stuff, before we were talking about that.
So it might have been the tail end of last season where I think he was theoretically
He was probably
working
in
his
shape
way
trying to
back,
make a comeback. Yeah.
trying to work his way back. Got the deal. The deal was locked in, and it's
Then they
guaranteed.
didn't play him.
They didn't play him. Maybe they didn't play him because they didn't want to hit these benchmarks. Because I want to give credit when I heard this conversation from. We talked about this in a pre-meeting on the Odd Couple. Chris Broussard, Rob Parker. Their conversation around this issue around the draft time was, do you want to be the GM that sends Zion to another team and he turns into a superstar, not necessarily like LeBron or KD, but just an NBA superstar, like turn him into a superstar? Or do you want to keep him and pay him and it's a dud? I personally would have taken the route of trading him while you had some value. You're not going to get the projected value for him simply because you any business negotiation will look at the fact, like Shannon Sharp said this on when he was back on Undisputed. He's like, if I know you have to get rid of this car and it's worth 10,000, but I know you gotta get rid of it, I'm not gonna offer you 10. I'm gonna offer you 7. Because I know for whatever reason, whatever situation you're in, you gotta get rid of this car, even though it's worth 10. I'm not gonna give you 10 because I know you can't keep it. You were gonna get pennies on a dollar for Zion. You might have only gotten the number 2 pick from Charlotte and maybe 1 or 2 role players. Maybe that's all you were gonna get. But you make that move, and then you pair Ingram with Brandon Miller, and you see where you can go with that, with the role players. Because now you simply don't even have to answer the Zion Williamson question. Even if you become successful in Charlotte, If he doesn't, all those questions about his weight, all those questions about his contract, all those questions about his work ethic, all the drama with the off the court stuff, that listen, it happens, it sucks, but that's not your problem. So now as a
And
GM,
LaMelo can't stay healthy anyway.
my phone's not blowing up all day where I got to answer questions about this, quote unquote distraction, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
I have my
Mm-hmm.
team, the coach has his players. You can make your run with that. On top of the fact that he hasn't really shown you like, oh, I am a valuable asset. It's not like they're on TV. You don't see a bunch of people wearing Zion Williamson jerseys. I don't think he's in the top jersey sales. They're hardly on TV. They don't make deep playoff runs. It's like this marquee player you had, like we talked about it the other night. That should have been a marquee matchup. Number one versus number two picks in the draft. But one guy was being a knucklehead trying to do hood rat shit with his friends. And the other guy can't stop eating etouffee and grits.
And then they went and lost by 30 to the Lakers in the semifinals of the IST. I think that's what we're calling it now, the IST.
IST. But you could lose by 30. It happens. But at least lose 30 pounds. Be in shape and lose by 30. Dudes, people lost. Kobe lost by a bunch in game 6 in the finals against Boston when they won the championship.
Oh, yeah.
He came back and still won 2 more. But if Kobe was super out of shape and they got their ass kicked, that all season, I would really entertain the idea of moving him because it's like, dog, you're not even ready for this moment. This is your moment. We're already paying you. It's not like he is in a situation where he's not getting paid. Like, we're paying you. Be ready. Be ready for the job you want us to pay you for. It just feels like he's not.
That's what they told you in the military, right? Like do the work of the rank you trying to get.
Yeah.
You want to be a master sergeant?
Do the master sergeant
You don't become a master sergeant the day you put the stripe on.
You do it on the way there.
Everything you did led to you being a master sergeant. So I get it, but it reminded me of the Kyler Murray contract conversation where
I have that written
he had
down.
to give up he had to give up the video games and all this kind of stuff. So the first question is, I guess the money is just that great. But my first question is, if you're Zion and they put all this stuff in your contract, why are you signing it in the first place?
Because he didn't work. He's never operated from a position of leverage. After the draft at Duke was the last time he was in a basketball position of leverage.
When he blew his shoe out, that was the
when he blew his shoe out and he came back for the tournament. Obama was at that game. I think LeBron was at that game. Obama was at that game. Obama walked out after he blew his shoes. Like, I don't want to see anybody else. But that was probably the last time he was in position.
No respect for RJ Barrett.
Yeah, with that thing. So Zion, he never really, he started gaining weight, then got drafted by New Orleans. I remember Stephen A. Smith, he said it early. He was like, listen, man, we got a young brother that seems to be putting on some weight. You send him to New Orleans? Like, he was like, you're not good at football in New Orleans? It talks all fast. I was like, that could be a problem. Because I had a troop go to Iraq. He went to Iraq 160. I replaced him 6 months later. He was 207. He won't lift any weights. I was like, oh, how you put on 30, 40 pounds in Iraq? He was like,
usually you lose 30.
we went there. He's like, I'll show you. And I went to the chow hall and I was like, all the food, the chicken wings, the chicken breast, the grilled cheese steak. What else they have? Like Indian food night, soul food night. Well,
yeah, how you did with the Mongolian.
Yeah, Mongolian, the cookies and ice cream. Well, we would eat, and then he was taking a bowl of ice cream in the truck back to the shop. I'm like, that's how you put on all this weight in Iraq, because it's just the food was everywhere. It's free and it was very good. Then he kept getting injured, and then he was pretty much, I want to say he was coddled, because I don't want to say I have inside information, but he was their flagship marquee player. So I don't know if people were on him the way they should have. I know CJ McCollum alluded to people not being ready for injury. Rumor has it was either about BI or was about Zion.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, people shouldn't have to sneak this and drop hints about you being ready. Especially if you look around the league. Look at the guys winning championships. Steph never looks out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Never. Even Draymond with his antics always looks ready. Clay always looks ready. KD always ready. LeBron always ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these guys, you rarely see these guys just balloon up. Rumored to like nearly 285, 300 pounds. Like, dog, you play
Mm-hmm.
basketball. You can't be 300 pounds.
You out
At
here weighing
6'6".
more than the linemen.
Yeah, you out here like a Cleveland Browns lineman.
Make
Better
no
get in the
damn
gym with
sense.
Desmond Bain.
Yeah. So what other? I know you had some other contracts you wanted to talk about too.
Oh, we talked about the Bobby Bonilla contract.
Yes.
Him getting paid forever. The
2035.
Otani contract that just came out. So they deferred. I don't know how this is even legal, but it looks like he's getting paid $68 million from 2034 to 2043. Like I said, we had the video game clause, and that's another thing is like if I gotta put in your contract, you gotta be on time to work 80% of the week or it gets voided. I gotta really think to myself, like, yo, am I really late to work that much to the point where it has to be in the contract? I'm like,
Or if
listen,
I'm the team, if I even got to ask this, why do
if I
I
have
want
to
you?
put that if I have to put that in there, if I have to put I need you contractually aware that I expect your level of preparedness to be this high,
I need you
which
to
is
read the
the
playbook 4
standard.
hours a week. You know what I mean?
Like
Like,
Mike Tomlin says, the standard. Mike Tomlin says the standard is the standard. So whatever standard you set, that's the standard.
right.
So if I got to contractually mandate that you meet the standard, I cannot offer you a contract that's $200 million plus $250 million. Kyler Murray got $250 million. And within that contract, they told him he has to study film and not play video games. Zion Williamson got $231 million to play basketball for a few years. And in that contract, they were like, yo, dog, you got to stay
Let
under
me
this
check that
weight limit.
PMI, dog.
It's
So
just
they like,
like that construct in and of itself. And then on top, I get you miss games, but
like,
you are a big guy that has knee injuries. Is that Bert Kreischer? It is Bert Kreischer. Always taking the shirt off. You have knee injuries. So
stop adding weight.
stop adding weight to your knees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we all military people, you know, I have flat feet, knee injuries, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I might not always take a bunch of weight off, but I'm like, you know what? Let me spend the money on comfortable shoes. Let me get
What
insoles. Let me, if I'm gonna work out, let me get the proper shoes. Let me not just grab a pair of LeBrons off my rack and go try to play basketball. Let me go get some shoes that have some good cushion, do some research and say, hey, I want to play basketball with my son. I want to hang out and, you know, be in these environments. Let me get information that says, okay, what basketball shoes good for a guy with flat feet? I got Damian Lillard shoes. They're good. I put the insoles in them. If you are a 260-pound dude already, you should be like, is adding 15 pounds to my 6'6" frame bad for my reconstructed knee? Yeah, probably.
and
Maybe I
you know,
should
and
take
that's
this
what I
weight off.
and that's what I told Lindsay. Like, like before I got fat again, she was like, hey, I thought you had all these goals, like, you was gonna do this and do that. And I said, yeah. And then I learned that once I hit 175, my knees hurt. So so like I can't go above 175 if I want a good quality of life. Like, no matter how much I want to be and how much weights I want to lift and all that stuff. Like, for me to be comfortable,
Yeah.
I gotta be at, and that's why I'm not comfortable now because I'm at 188 right now. But
Yeah.
I need to get down to
I can't
175 to be comfortable.
I can't lift more than 70-pound dumbbells over my head without a spotter. But I went up to 90 one time and I felt and I was like, never doing that again. So I've always stayed below 85. I've never gone
Yeah,
above that, no matter how much I've worked out since last 15 years. Like, that's enough. I know that limit, but I know that because I worked at it. So
right,
Zion, I'm like, yo, you should, especially if you know that the team is putting you in a position of where they're gonna get rid of you. There's another Zion Williamson out there. There's another guy that
hmm
they can pay, $40 million a year for 5 years to play your position to give them what you give them. You're not like this. If you're one of one as far as like Zion Williamson, and you're special as far as like how your family feels about you, but as far as this business goes, they can replace you. And that's why they wrote it into the contract. So they have leverage to replace you. It's
yep,
like someone has to be in your ear that tells you need an OG in your ear that tells you this is what this paragraph means. Not your agent, because your agent can be fired and he's not getting 10 to 15% of that 230. You need somebody that's either in the building, an old head at the end of the bench, a mentor somewhere that can tell you, you, Charles Barkley, you may hate what Charles Barkley says about you on TNT. But if you heed his words, because I'm pretty sure he had that conversation when he was playing, he probably knows that if he weighed 20 less pounds, he probably beats Jordan. He probably makes a real credible NBA Finals run multiple years out of his career. He probably knows that. I don't know how if he said that, but I bet he thought like, you know what? If I played at 225 to the 245 for those 8 weeks at the end of the season, I probably could have won X amount of rounds in the playoffs.
hmm
If I would have kept the weight that I played at my MVP season, if I could have played like that for 3 more seasons, Shaq probably tell you the same thing. Shaq was unguardable until he got fat.
hmm
Unguardable. Orlando, early
That's what
LA
he said.
Shaq.
He said he looked back at it. He's like, I used to get mad at Kobe, but like he was right.
Shaq looks better now than he did post the first championship with Dwayne Wade in Miami. So that was 2006.
hmm
From '06 to retirement, current Shaq looks better than any of those guys. I think Shaq, I mean, I doubt he can go out there now. I don't know how his knees and feet are playing, but if he worked to the point where if he would have been in that shape and that size in the league, like his youth and the way that he's working out now, Shaq could have 7 championships. Because you couldn't guard
hmm
him. You simply couldn't
Right.
guard him. He averaged 36 and 17 in his NBA finals when he was at his peak prime
And he
year,
always and he
36 and
always had a
17.
good guard with him.
Always kept a good guard because it's like, I if I can play with Shaq, that means 3 people are either watching me and Shaq at the same time. Not possible. For all 6 of those eyes to be on both of us, and then you can't guard me as a guard. Like Kobe knew those dudes couldn't guard him on the perimeter. Dwayne Wade felt the same way. And you knew damn sure it's not a dude in the league that was built to guard Shaq. You had to play
Yep.
6 on 5 to stop Shaq.
Yeah, and there wasn't even nobody out there that was really holding Penny like that. Injury
Young
stopped
Shaq,
Penny.
young Shaq, muscled up Shaq. If Shaq would have stayed that 36 and 17 Los Angeles Lakers Shaq for 4 more years, I don't think Tim Duncan has 5 rings. I think they keep running in the West. I think LA keeps him. I mean, maybe they trade
hmm
Kobe, maybe they make a trade anyway. But if you got
Right.
Shaq,
But maybe you go grab T Mac or something.
you replace Kobe, and but I think you keep Shaq. Zion, granted, he's only 6'6". I don't know if he has that, if he would have that kind of muscle up, but he could essentially in shape, stay in his position, average 22 and 11 on that team without breaking a sweat.
Mm-hmm.
He was shooting 60.1%, 61, 62% from the floor in those 29
Yeah,
games.
even though his field goal percentage is down 3% this season, it's still 57.8.
Exactly.
So it's not as if he dropped down to like 41% and you're like, how the hell is this possible? Like he's a walking 52% just looking at the rim.
Just getting the ball on the elbow, dribble drive left-handed.
And it looks like they've been trying to do more like point forward stuff with him, which isn't conducive to his size either.
Because he's not in shape.
Right.
Jokic can carry 280 because he's 6'11", 7 feet tall. The boy Zion is 6'6", so he's probably
outweighs
Jokic. He's probably close. He's probably closer to 6'4.5", 6'5". They probably measure
on that Barkley.
Barkley. People list him now 6'6". Barkley for years they said Barkley was 6'4", playing power forward.
Yep. So yeah, that's why I just don't understand it because I just feel like either he's miserable in New Orleans and he's trying to make them trade him, or he just don't give a shit. And I just rather believe the former than the latter.
I'm just gonna say I don't think he gives a shit because I think he probably goes out there and like I can still do what I can still play basketball because like
I'm still averaging 20.
Yeah, Jokic is like, there's things that are bigger than basketball, families bigger than basketball, and it looks like he doesn't care, but he's out there like grinding and playing. Luka's the same way. You don't see a lot of Luka Instagram videos in the offseason of him, doing yoga, Pilates, and all that. Like LeBron, like that's his offseason. But he still has his wine and he does his public events. But Jokic is like, he says it out loud, like, oh yeah, there's things that are bigger than basketball.
I want to go with my horses.
When it comes to basketball, every night it looks like he only cares about basketball. Even though he says out loud, but you could tell by the way he plays, like, oh yeah, I still care about this shit. I just don't think it's the end all be all to my existence.
Right.
And with Zion, it just looks like he just plays for fun.
And see, and that's why on a different note, that's what I see when I look at teams like, say, the Celtics, that game that they blew in Golden State the other night. I saw the same exact Celtics that I saw last year that didn't learn the lesson, that they get caught up in trying to shoot all these threes. Like I saw one play, they got the rebound 4 times on one possession.
Shout out for threes.
Shot threes and didn't make any of them. I think they scored something like 4 points in overtime, because they just kept jacking shots. And it's like, look, and I know, this is one of those, sports reports is ordered, take your shots. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are supposed to be what we thought Kawhi and Paul George were going to be.
Makes sense.
They're younger. They got the length. Pause. They in the passing lanes. They can score. Jaylen Brown still can't dribble, but Tatum can even facilitate. So that's the problem. That's the opposite.
I often say that, like I said, Tatum is like if you drew a basketball player, you draw him like Tatum.
Well, that's the problem. It's the opposite because you got Kawhi and Paul George. So Kawhi here, Paul George here. Whereas in Boston, Tatum is the Paul George, but he's the one that's here. And Brown is the Kawhi that's here, with the killer instinct that Paul George probably doesn't have.
The thing that I think will save Boston is that they have Jrue Holiday. They have a brain that can stick his head in the huddle and give like authentic championship guidance to the other 4 people looking at him when the 5 guys go on the floor. So I think you take your lumps in November, December, especially when you're a good team. But when it comes down to it, they're up 4 in late March, and they can close out Philly and get the number 1 seed in the East. Drew Holiday will be, hey, this is what you got to do here. I'm gonna take Maxey out. You two got to double Embiid because he's gonna kick out here. Get it to Melton. He doesn't make pressure shots. Like that conversation on the floor, like that point guard extension of the coach, because we know the coach is still working through his lumps because he was kind of abruptly put in that position because of Ime Udoka's, early termination last year. So we're not sure exactly how much he's improved. We were highly critical of him in the postseason, like especially in those Miami runs. You get up 14 multiple times in a series or multiple times in a game, and that team claws 14 to tie the game back up. The next time you're up 14 or 15 and they get it down to 8, call timeout.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
down.
got to learn. Just like we tell rich people, you can't take the money with you. You can't take them timeouts in the locker room with you.
Man, take them timeouts. Get your team settled. Figure it out.
He must have been watching Phil Jackson growing up. Because Phil Jackson
had a great philosophy. He had a great philosophy, but he didn't let it go from 16 to 0 multiple times.
Well, he also had 3 of the top 10 players of all time too.
Yeah, sometimes you play with skills. Good luck will happen. I mean,
but yeah. So Boston, like I said, like you said, I'll give the benefit of the doubt and say that it's early, but I just don't like it because I feel like it's what doomed. I saw some of the same things that doomed them last year in the playoffs. And like Miami is like the definition of let's do things harder than they have to be. Like instead of 16 and 12, you could be 19 and
Yeah, but I think they'll be all right because I don't know if they care about the record other than.
But I don't know if you can rely on.
Playoff.
I don't know if you can rely on being a 6 seed or lower and getting to the finals every year. You know what I mean?
But if you think about it, who has a championship pedigree to cachet above them? If they were 6, who are you afraid of? Orlando? No. Boston? No. Philly?
No, because you beat them.
No. Cleveland? No.
Well, maybe Philly because we saw what Jokic did to Bam.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, you got to beat me 4 times. All right, Embiid, go 40-10 every game. I'm gonna stay glued to Maxey and make Melton shoot you kick out shots.
Well, that's until they get Zach LaVine.
I heard that too because I was like, because in the car it automatically kicks to the radio when the Apple CarPlay doesn't connect. Philly fans, passionate. This guy was saying how he thought the starters were good, the bench was good, and I think he's like, and the host of the show was like, you think they can make a deep playoff run? You think they get past the second round? That's what he said. He was like, I think we can. I think he was like, I think we got to play it out. And the host was like, I don't think so. He's like, because he's like, Melton's not a starter on the championship team. And the guy was like, so who do you think we could go get like on the market right now that we can go get? And he was like, LaVine. And I immediately thought, the only way to get LaVine, you're gonna have to deplete something. So either you got to lose
Harris or something.
You gotta lose a starter, or you gotta lose a large chunk of your bench, or starter and chunk.
Even if it's not LaVine, the other name that they're being tied to is OG Anunoby.
I mean, maybe you can give up less for him.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have to give up more because he's younger and he's less problematic. Zach LaVine might be
maybe not because maybe not for Anunoby because Anunoby's a free agent after this season.
But they're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you got a guy that's a free agent next year, it's like I don't want to give up these assets and that guy can walk.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So that's why
give up these assets and then like extend them. No, but like I give up these assets. No, because the other team is still going to be like, I want something. They're
Right.
gonna
Well,
squeeze a
that's why you
little bit
gotta.
of juice, blood out of the
But that's
stone.
why the deals usually fall apart because the player says, "I'm not going to resign there." Like Anthony Davis. Remember, the whole thing was Anthony Davis to Boston,
The
and
Boston,
it was like
that
he's
was
not going.
chaos. I don't know. Like I understand, like honestly, I don't want to say I understand the allure of LeBron because I've never been in that stratosphere of a person with that kind of success and influence. But just if you just took the like, yo, like turn the cameras off, dog. It's just us talking. So you wanted to give up the whole young bench that we have to go get AD right now, or just wait till the off season and sign him and
Carmelo.
potentially keep like he's like, yo, call your boy Carmelo and ask him how he felt about the deal after he gutted the Knicks to get to New York. Wilson Chandler was gone. Who else went to the Knicks?
Wasn't
I
it
think
Felton?
J.R. Smith went, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
he went, and then they lost Raymond Felton. I think
Raymond
like
Felton went. I think Wilson Chandler went. I believe J.R.
mm-hmm.
Smith. I could be wrong, but I believe J.R. Smith went in that deal. Or did J.R. Smith come
I
after?
think J.R. Smith. Yeah, I think J.R. Smith came after to be with
Went to
Melo.
Denver to Melo. But like I know the bench was depleted because that was one of the big
Yeah,
conversations. Was like, and the Knicks weren't
you could have
going
waited
anywhere.
4 months.
You could have waited till you could have been like, oh, this hamstring's tight because it was like February when they made the deal. Their season was
Especially
essentially
knowing that
over in
Amari
April.
Stoudemire was always hurt too.
It's like your season was over in April as a Nick that year. Like your season was not extending beyond April, May. It's February when you made the deal. So like this could be one of those situations where, like I said, the Anthony Davis situation it was peculiar. I think my favorite part of it is when he wore the Looney Tunes shirt the last day in New Orleans.
That's
Said,
all,
"That's all,
folks.
folks."
Mm-hmm.
It was subtle but hilarious, and I mean, it goes to the business of basketball. I just because they've given in to every whim. I won't say every. It seems as if a lot of the moves potentially on the front end with LeBron approved, but then you see some of the other moves. I'm like, there's no way he approved that. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's what I never
'Cause
understood.
Me and my dad had that kind because he kept calling him the GM. I'm like, listen, there's a dude who does that job. So blame that guy, even if he listens to LeBron, even if LeBron comes in there,
Right.
Kanye West style, stands on the desk, stomping his feet. Rob Palinka got to look up and be like, if you don't get your big ass off my desk, I'm not trading everybody to get Anthony Davis. And just
Well, that's why,
live with
like,
that. Live with that.
well, that's like looking back at the boxing thing that I brought up earlier. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I just never understood why these dudes didn't want to beat LeBron.
I mean, if you think about it, most people did. He didn't really get the
Like, if I'm Dwayne
him
Wade, you
him
my
and
boy
Dwayne,
and everything,
but him and
but no,
Dwayne probably were close. They probably were close, and I can see that. But Paul George not teaming up with him, that makes sense to me.
no, Paul George
Kawhi,
tried to team up with him though. Remember that was supposed to be the trade. It was supposed to be Paul George for Kyrie
where the
when he
Cleveland
was in
trade?
Cleveland. Yeah, that was supposed to be a
Ah,
thing.
that's the first time I've ever heard that. The
Oh
only
no, that's a
trade
thing.
only I remember only Paul George trade I can recall was the Kawhi demanding that the Clippers trade for Paul George after he told the Lakers, I'm gonna join the Lake Show with AD and LeBron, even though he was
Yeah, it
going
was
to the
the year.
Clippers.
It was the year. It was the year they won the championship.
The 2016 offseason
That
going in.
that that or 2017. It was 2017.
So Paul George for Kyrie straight up? I'd never
Yeah,
heard this.
I sent it to you. You could read it when we're done here. But yeah, I sent it to you.
Okay.
But that was a thing, and that was why. So that's why that's the part of the story that people don't tell, because they're like, well, Kyrie's mad and he doesn't want to be in LeBron's. Like, well, no, they were trying to trade him. Like that had something to do with why Kyrie was acting the way that he was acting. I mean, besides the fact that he's Kyrie, but you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
like
Like,
Kyrie, and I believe he said that he didn't want to live in LeBron's shadow. A lot like we talked about this before, T Mac and Vince Carter. No one wanted to be the Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan because before all the allure of social media,
yeah, sorry.
it was
And this is when Paul George was still in Indiana, by the way.
when they were having those battles in Miami.
Well, no, I mean LeBron was in Cleveland by then, but I'm
That's
just
what I'm
saying,
saying. They
like,
had all those battles in Miami, and then he was
yeah,
like
like I
I get
can't
the
beat him, join
whole.
him.
I think once LeBron went to Miami to Dwayne Wade's team, essentially that was the dynamic then.
Right.
When he went there after D Wade already won a chip, he hadn't had one, and then it became his team. I think a lot of players who felt that they were on LeBron's level, because at that point he was a superstar, but he wasn't in the stratosphere that he is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like post Miami, I think he still was relatively like people felt like, oh, he only won 2 chips with this super team.
Right.
But then when he went to
Right.
Cleveland and had the 4 more runs, it was like, oh, this dude is different. I am not him. And but by then, guys already made these moves. Kevin Durant already made his move. And then when LeBron went to LA and then he wanted AD, they're like, oh, he's
And Kawhi.
and Kawhi. And it was like, I was like, this is worse than the Miami Heatles. And Kawhi was like, I don't want to do that. I'm glad Kawhi did. I'm glad he said, nah, I'm going to the Clippers. I thought it was kind of a snake
And I
move
don't
that
think he regrets it.
I don't think he regrets it either because championships, I understand everybody wants championships, but in the same sense, like, do you just want to really ride the coattails? Because if you are,
Well, maybe if
if you are
Kawhi
a top,
hadn't had,
if Dame Lillard went with tag like teamed up with LeBron, he probably would have had a great couple of years. Like if he would have gone to LA a couple of years back for whatever LA would have sent to whatever
Mhm.
Milwaukee just sent to Portland to get Dame out. If the Lakers would have sent the equivalent, obviously commiserate with his position and everything else, and it was Dame Lillard, AD, and LeBron in LA. LeBron was going to get all the credit. Dame
Right.
Lillard probably would have had the best basketball in his life because playing basketball with LeBron does allow you to be better. It's like
Right.
having
And
T.O. on your
AD.
team. Yeah, having T.O. on your team as a wide receiver, as a quarterback, you will have the best numbers of your career. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Like you will have the best numbers of your career because that guy's on your team.
Mhm.
But when it comes down to it, Tua was in the MVP race higher than Tyreek. Patrick Mahomes won. He was in higher in the MVP race,
Mhm.
but even though Tyreek had 200 receiving yards in a quarter, like things like that. So like,
Yeah.
and then we see without Tyreek, Patrick Mahomes doesn't put up like no one has 200 yards in a quarter ever, except for Tyreek. And he one touchdown he walked in backwards.
Mhm.
He was running away against NFL elite level Pro Bowl defenders backwards because he was that good.
Mhm.
I think LeBron would have put Dame Lillard in a position of where he would have had that kind of he would have had a Kyrie like impact where LeBron could go to the bench, he could do his thing. LeBron comes back, and LeBron's gonna feed you. Like LeBron's like, listen, if I can get you to rock and let you do your thing, because I know I'm gonna get 8 layups off this dude that's trying to guard me. And I'm gonna shoot 7 threes. I'm gonna hit 3 out of 7. I'm gonna get fouled. So LeBron's like, listen, I'm getting to 27 points. I'm manufacturing 27 points of my own without the help of the rest of you off the rip. But if I can get you to 24 to 25, 26 points, even if you figure you can get 30 and I can still get my 27, 7 and 7, I'm still gonna be the hero because you weren't getting those numbers without me in Portland. You weren't this dominant with those numbers until you came here with me. You weren't those like Anthony Davis in New Orleans. His numbers were probably commensurate with what he has in LA, but he didn't get a chip. He wasn't considered top 5, top 6, top 8 player in the league. He wasn't considered dominant. He was considered an up and comer. So I think like a guy like Dame getting to LA. So I don't know why guys would want to play with LeBron other than just
I mean, I guess it's they just think that's the easiest path to a championship.
You gotta be tough. You gotta be intrinsically tough and know like, hey, if this goes sideways, people publicly might blame me. I don't think LeBron will. Like he'll get you shipped out of town if that's the case. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, sometimes it's like, pick your poison. Do you want to be the man or do you want to be part of something great? But you gotta be Memphis Bleak.
And my dumb and my I was gonna say my dumb profile ass trying to be Beans, you know.
And Beans is probably super respected. He walks around. I'm pretty sure he walks around with his head high. But right now, Memphis Bleak is like part of the board of the liquor department of Rock Nation.
Right.
Like and
I would have fucked all that up because Jay-Z would have tried to put anything on my album. And I would have been like, man, you better go sit your ass down and, put that on a movie soundtrack or something.
When he said or he's like, he can just sit down and chill somewhere.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, he's a millionaire.
I'm like, damn, Bleak couldn't get a quick 8 bars on Dear Summer.
Yo, Dear Summer was dope. I was on that.
I know. It was the best song on the CD.
He was like, nah, Bleak, this is gonna be me solo on your record.
It's the best song on the album. Just like, Is That Your Chick, right? Like, Bleak killed that song. But
Twister was on it too.
Well, I mean, I know, but I'm just saying.
Everybody killed that track.
But it was just
everybody killed that track.
Just like
that's the
Bleak
thing.
Killed Bleak killed he killed Murder Marcyville, and then Beanie came through. Them South Philly motherfuckers kill at will, and it was just over with. Like you forgot Bleak was on the song.
But Bleak was like, all right, bet, but I'm still here. I still got to do my thing, and I'm still here. I ain't let pride get in the way and make me go try to start my own. Like when Jay said, I'm so independent, I might buy Koch because he had Dipset guys on there, but then they wanted to go to Koch. He was like, I'm so independent, I might buy Koch because they came along and thought they was going to be the Heat, like proverbially the Heat. But it's like they thought they was going to take over, whereas like, listen, for all intents and purposes, and people can like it and dislike it or not, LeBron's a man. He's been in the man's league for 20 years. He's been the quintessential son of the league. Yes, it's been other people that have had championship success. There's been other people who've done things. But as far as if you pluck him out, what are we talking about?
Right.
So there's a value in having that kind of relationship. You would prefer to be more competitive. You prefer for him to have a Kobe, like the relationship Kobe had with him. Kobe respected him, but Kobe wanted to beat him because he respected him. You would have wanted Paul George to stay in Indiana to have that. You would have wanted KD and Russ to stay together to beat Golden State. You would want Golden State to not call KD so they can keep, like, listen, this core group of guys that we grew up with, we need to go back and let the league know our 73 wins were in a fluke.
Right.
But they pulled in KD. So I think that's the piece that kind of just makes it a little bit more convoluted, because It was there. The competitive matchups were there. But even teams flake out. Teams give up on players. Like Utah should never got rid of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Add around.
that was your Stockton and Malone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, you don't get any chips. How many people win?
Now look at Rudy Gobert. You know what I'm saying? With the best record in the league.
Out here playing his role. DeAndre Ayton. Yo, you should have figured out a way to make it pop in Phoenix.
You know, like, Monty was gone. You know what I'm saying? You ain't had no reason to be mad.
You should have figured out how to make it work with Monty. Like, I just, once again, like these guys, maybe they'll get on the podcast in 4 or 5 years and spill the whole tea like Jeff Teague. Shout out to Jeff Teague's podcast. It's incredible. I love listening to his stories. Even on like 2-minute clips, it's just so much detail. It's just so funny. But that's the thing is like you have this competitive nature, competitive balance. And these guys are all friends, and dudes need to stop fronting with this concept that the dudes in the 80s weren't friends. They were friends because
Michael Jordan was smoking cigars with Danny Ainge.
He was playing golf with him before a playoff game.
Yeah,
he played 18 holes with him before.
We just didn't have social media to point it out.
Yeah, but it was happening. Jordan said it since then. Yeah, and Charles Barkley was with other NBA players when he threw that dude through the window at the bar that weren't on his team. They were all hanging out. Him and Jordan would hang out all the time. These guys hung out all the time. They were friends. They were
all the time.
They were the only people who could relate to their life. You think they're not going to hang out? How many people live that life?
Right. 100%. But yo, we live this life so you don't have to. Sports Reports is ordered. You know what I'm saying? Biggest movement since Dipset. Holla at your boys. We be back on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? We be back on Tuesday. 2-5 Daily coming at you.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Chinese New Year. I don't even know when it is.
Shabbat
Shalom. I think it's February or something.
Canada.
Happy New Year's.
Happy
Flag Day.
Canada. Boxing Day or Flag Day?
No, Boxing Day. Flag Day is our day.
Yeah, you know happy Boxing Day, Canada.
You know what I'm saying? All that. You know what I'm saying? Just be happy, be merry, and come back on Tuesday with us.
Tell your grandma about us.
Peace.